Pokemon! It's
Black Bolt!
We are just moments away from the release of Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. In fact, by the time you're watching this, it might already be out, and they are revealing characters. First they showed us Storm, then they showed us Wolverine. They showed us Magic. Magic in a fighting game is excellent. We already had her in Marvel Rivals, and now, well, in a fighting game itself. And they also introduced Danger. It was a character that nobody expected but welcome. Everything is welcome, and this is good. Today we see it as common for people to talk about the X-Men, but we must not forget what we suffered and what we went through. Every X-Men fan in recent times knows how they tried to remove them from the comics, replacing them with others, specifically with the Inhumans, and how they avoided saying the word mutants in series, movies, and so on, how the X-Men disappeared from video games, or how they would release mobile games and not include the X-Men. Well, not to mention console games, right? And also, in the comics, sidelining them, leaving them behind, killing characters, and acting as if they didn't exist. And not to mention the Fantastic Four as well, right? So, in this video, we're going to talk about that. The era when the X-Men were banned. To understand the origin of the conflict, we have to go back to 2009. Disney bought Marvel for $4 billion in what seemed to be the deal of the century. Everyone on the internet was talking about it at the time, but there was a legal loophole. Fox was going to keep the film rights for the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Every time a mutant movie was successful, the main benefit went to the competitor. It wasn't for Disney. That's where Isaac Perlmutter comes in, an executive famous for his obsession with financial control and a business philosophy where every character was above all an economic unit. He saw numbers, not characters. He didn't see a Wolverine or a Cyclops, he saw a dollar sign. Perlmutter understood that promoting Wolverine or Cyclops meant indirectly strengthening the rival franchise, and he wasn't going to allow that. The response was surgical. If Disney couldn't exploit mutants in the cinema, Marvel was going to kill them off Editorial. Between 2015 and 2018, the execution was total. The Fantastic Four, who cinematically belonged to Fox, the founding family of the publisher, disappeared from the map. Their main series was canceled in the comics for 3 years, while Fox was trying to relaunch them in movies. With the X-Men, the attack was more sophisticated. Because they sold too much to be canceled, Marvel applied a narrative displacement. The mutants stopped being the main axis of the Marvel universe to become just another group. Meanwhile, the main focus was shifting to those owned by Disney, and that's when the Inhumans started to appear. Marvel tried to force the Inhumans as the new mutants of popular culture. We knew it was forced, the displacement of the X-Men and the forced inclusion of the Inhumans. It finally bothered us. Stop. You're only doing this for film rights. They were given the best writers, the biggest events, and a massive presence in video games. You didn't have Wolverine, but you had Black Bolt. In the comics, they introduced the Terrigen mists. It was a cloud that activated inhuman powers, but was lethal to mutants. That was a breaking point for me, because that's when Cyclops dies from this shitty mist. That mist was a metaphor for how the editors were forced to push down the X-Men. I felt terrible and stopped reading X-Men. This social experiment went so far as to tamper with some iconic characters' origins. Kamala Khan, the current Ms. Marvel, was originally intended to be a mutant, but in 2014 they forced the creators to turn her into an Inhuman. They didn't want the word mutant to have even a millimeter of extra exposure. The same thing happened with Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, Magneto's children. We grew up for decades knowing they were his children, but in a move that infuriated fans, it was revealed that his children, or even mutants, they were experiments of the High Evolutionary. It was a legal chess move to separate them from Fox's license and integrate them into the MCU. The characters' identities were at the service of contracts and not the stories. The Sabotage also moved into the physical dimension. Marvel decided to take the most profitable figures out of circulation so that Fox would have nothing to promote. In 2014, they published the death of Wolverine. Logan lost his healing factor and ended up turned into an adamantium statue. The character that saved the publisher in the 90s was off the board for years. Shortly after, they eliminated Cyclops in an extremely controversial way. They have him die from this mist and stain an entire legacy of as a leader. Even Professor Charles Xavier remained dead for almost a decade. The timing was indisputable. They tried to erase the legacy of the most popular characters to protect their income. Where we also suffered the veto was in video games. In LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, the X-Men completely disappeared after having been fundamental in the first installment. No trace in Marvel Strike Force, a mobile game. But where people complained a lot was when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out. A saga built on Magneto and Storm was presented with a roster where there wasn't going to be a single mutant. They included characters like Gamora, but not a single mutant. It was then that the explanation arose that characters were only functions. They said everyone was replaceable, that I could replace Wolverine with Rocket Raccoon if I wanted. The player's emotional connection didn't matter. The first crack occurred on 7th, 2017 in Marvel Future Fight. An update brought back the X-Men because Disney realized they were losing millions in microtransactions. The wallet was the only thing capable of Perlmutter's pride. Shortly after, Kevin Feige began preparing the purchase of Fox. On March 20th, 2019, Disney bought Fox for $71 billion. That day, mutants became the future. Reintegration was immediate, from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 to the ring success of X-Men 97. The villain of this story was finally fired in March 2023. We return to the present to Marvel Tokon. There is no longer any prohibition, but some characters still haven't appeared. Why isn't Cyclops or Gambit there? I think they're rationing them to have DLC for 10 years. I'm more likely to pay to have Cyclops as DLC. They try to mix in new characters like Danger, who had never appeared in other games. I think they will start appearing. They save the strong parts for the DLC. That's how companies work. Today the X-Men are back. They revived everyone in the comics and they appear everywhere. All that's left is to wait for them to put Cyclops in Marvel Tokon.
Add me in Marvel Tokon.
Roster justice now! Roster justice now! Hero! Roster justice now!
All I'm asking is put Cyclops in a fighting game. It's not that hard.